How's it going, doggy people? I hope you all are doing well. If you hear any noises in the background, Adonis was playing with his favorite toy, and now he's eating, so hopefully that'll keep him quiet, but if you hear noises, that's just him. So we're going over another video by Robert Cabral, these three individuals, because I just covered one of them working with this Akita named Max, or American pronunciation is Akita. Either way, this Japanese breed, wonderful. We have him on a choke chain. In the other video, we had him on the prong collar. So I don't know which takes place first. This says part 1. The other one, I think, was uploaded at a later date. I don't know. I guess I could take 10 seconds to go figure it out, but I'm not going to. So first off, in just the title, and I'm going to try and move a little bit quicker because I spent 30 minutes on a 5-minute video. So heaven knows how long I'll spend on a 10-minute video. So I'm going to try and move quick. But just important things to point out is that he says, socialize a dominant, reactive dog in public. So dominance is not a behavioral trait. Dominance is a momentary situation. Okay, so say two dogs are fighting over a bone. One, say this guy, bites the other dog moves away, he gets the bone, he wins. He was dominant in that moment. Likewise, if he tried to bite the other dog being dominant and that dog said no and they bit him harder or they acted bigger and tougher and he moved away, they would be dominant in that moment. Later on, the roles can switch back and forth. So it's not a behavioral trait, and people will see this breed specifically and say, oh, they're very dominant, they're stubborn, they're this and that. No, they're very intelligent, they're very independent. They were made that way. They were not made to be subservient and submissive like a Labrador, easy to work with like a German Shepherd, easy as in they're made scientifically to work better with humans. These guys are more independent-minded. Reactive, we've seen a bit of reactivity with him. Reactivity usually stems from fear or frustration. So with this guy from the other video, I saw it as frustration, barrier frustration between offense and being on leash, and also being, when he had this on the prong collar, that caused pain, that can cause more frustration. So having it on the choke chain, just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, actually, because the choke chain chokes the animal. And it can cause a collapsed trachea, it can cause a lot of issues. So let's hurry up and get going with this, and hopefully I won't spend all day talking.
And he's got to pay attention to you, tell him what to do, and as soon as he breaks that, tell him no.
So he already has a tight leash. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So this is not, first off, not how you start. Don't have him on a choke chain, very dangerous. That's going to lead the dog to pull. It's going to cause physical damage. The correction can cause psychological damage. These dogs and Shibas and Spitz type breed dogs, pointy ears and curly tail and hair and all that, this particular breed is a tough breed, like Adonis. They're not easily insulted, so to speak. If you hear thumping, that's my neighbor behind me. Adonis can take corrections like this, or you can yell at him and whatnot. He's not going to pee himself. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's okay. You're just teaching them to be harder. When we have metal and clips and everything, and we're jerking and popping our dog, we make them hard, not soft. So I teach any dog that I walk to walk anywhere with one finger at the end of a 6-foot lead on a harness. That's soft. That's how I teach them to be soft. This is not. This is flooding them. You put them in a situation, they're going to react, and you correct them. Ouch! Jesus. And what happens is you don't teach the dog anything but to react. So what I would do is we wouldn't even be here. We would be in the yard. We would be in the house. We would be practicing things, getting the dog, first of all, to be able to walk on a harness, on a loose leash, or a flat buckle collar that's, wide and appropriately sized for this dog. And we'd be just walking around, making sure that he can look at us, he can walk on a loose leash, and then we can go outside and see, whatever his triggers may be. If he sees someone walking across the street, we want to find what his threshold is. Is it 10 feet from somebody else before he goes crazy? Is it 20 feet? Is it 5 feet? Is it a football yard or a football stadium? What is his threshold? And then we make sure to keep him under that threshold. So that way he's just sitting, he's chilling. I mark, reward every time he can see what scares him. Say these cars driving by, that sets him off. So if he can sit here and not do any of this, or stand, or he could do whatever. I'm not going to ask for any behavior. He can stand here on a loose leash. Cars go by, mark and reward. Another car goes by, mark and reward. Car doesn't go by. We're just sitting here, mark and reward. And I always tell everybody, it looks like you're doing nothing. If you're rewarding for seemingly nothing, you're doing it right. because this should not be happening. He's over threshold. He's practicing this behavior. When he's in fight or flight, he cannot think. So he is not learning. Okay, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this dog's not helping. He's got this scarf on. I don't know why he has a scarf on. I mean, I have no problem for people who want to like dress their dogs up, but you know, he's just as reactive. She's sitting there, maybe she's a fan, talking to him. The one thing this guy has done right is walk this dog away, because that's what I would do. I mean, anytime the dog that I'm working with is reactive and they're reacting, I walk them away and I increase distance. I want to get them away from the trigger, get them below threshold, and then reset, where I can get them to look at the trigger and they don't even, you know, respond to it. And then over time we can get closer and closer. Okay, so he's talking about corrections.
So socialize Max, who has not been socialized that much in public.
Okay, I was gonna give him credit by saying, hey, I think we have him on a martingale, but I think he's just in the prong collar. But we'll see.
But let's see how it works out.
Let's see what he does like going through here. I'm gonna let you go in front of me.
Hey, yes. Well, it looks like some kind. I know he's on the prong collar, I'm pretty sure, but it looks like he's a nice flat buckle collar. Why don't you put him on that? He's still gonna pull, but it'll be less painful for him. And again, he needs to learn to walk on a loose leash in public setting. I mean, on loose leash, period. He's not even ready to be here learning behavior modification or rehabilitation, whatever you want to call it, or desensitizing. He needs to learn to teach his dog to walk on a loose leash, and preferably, you know, without yanking and cranking. If you have to hold him like this when he's here, he's already way over threshold.
There's a dog right there.
Okay, so I really like that he gives this dog some lead right here. This is perfect. See, I don't always just harp on everybody. You know, I'm pointing out what I see. This is terrific. And you notice how the dog's pulling less? I know it kind of sounds crazy, goes against instinct, but if you give them more lead, they pull less. It's like if you're a kid and your mom or dad, you know, holds you by the collar of your shirt or holds you by your hoodie, you know, keeping you and controlling you, you're going to want to move more. But if you let them get about 10 feet in front of you, they're going to say, whoa, I feel insecure and I want to go back to you and kind of hang out in the vicinity.
Here, see if you can see the warning signs.
Oh, okay, so now he shortens his leash. So that tells me he is probably becoming insecure. When people shorten their leash like that, they're insecure. They're preparing for their dog to react. When they do that enough, they condition their dog to get more reactive. So the dog is already showing signs that he's alert, but he may or may not have reacted. I think he said that there's a dog coming up, so we're not ready. We should be across the street to prevent that from happening. But anybody nowadays says, you know, oh no, we have to see the behavior so we can correct it, when prevention is key.
On Max.
The dog's wearing a scarf, so he's probably going to want to meet.
Tight, tight, tight. So, way too close already. I would have moved across the street, or I would have gone over here and just had him really focus on me. Treat, focus, treat, focus.
Perfect.
And here I want to
that was not really
what
perfect.
Can you really do in this kind of an environment?
So he's doing pretty okay. You know, he could be, when the dog's not reacting, you could be rewarding him. You know, there's going to be times when you're going to be trapped and kind of cornered, and I would just be really focusing on having this dog focus on me and give a treat, focus, and treat, and work our way through here, and then go back and counter condition. So he's still focused on something else. Tight collar. Remember, this is on a prong collar, causing a lot of pain. This dog doesn't care. So the prongs are meant to stop the dog from pulling, but yet they just ignore it. Great tool. Everybody's going to say, people will come and say, it's not, when used properly, when used humanely, it's not a humane tool. And yes, for people who are going to say, for it to be used properly, it needs to be high up behind the skull and, you know, fitted properly, and down here it's dangerous anyway. It's archaic, it's inhumane. I don't care how soft you are with it. It's like using a bit in a horse's mouth. If you have to use metal to cause pain compliance, which is what it is, you know, call it for what it is, it's still pain compliance, then okay, you know, just be honest about it. And if you have to use that to walk a dog or teach a dog to walk, then, you know, in my opinion, you're not very skilled.
It's always the dogs with scarves on.
Ouch, ouch. So see, that correction could have caused that reaction. Okay, so watch, he's looking,
It's always the dogs
looking,
with scarves
pop,
on.
and then bam. So it could have been, God dang, dude, look at this guy. So it could have been the correction that set him overboard. He could have just ignored the correction because the dog was too close. And then he yanks him over here and he's tired, he's frustrated, he's struggling with this dog, and he's doing it to the dog. He is causing this. Now, I'm not saying this as like anything personal. The guy, at some point though, you have to realize, is this working? No. I mean, he found him and he likes him and he wears his hat and t-shirt and stuff. And so it's bias, confirmation bias. I, at 29 years old, have learned over the course of raising my Shiba for 11 plus years, I have tried this in the beginning when I thought positive reinforcement didn't work, or when I got into behavior issues, and I did research and I actually went to school for it and I learned and I tried other people, because you try the same thing over and over again. It's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And the main thing is that you put he and trainers like him put the accountability on the dog. I understand what it's like to be frustrated. I've been there. But you know what? The dog doesn't care how you feel. They care what you do. And you are teaching this dog to ignore this harsh kind of correction. You're just making it worse. He's calling out, he's crying out, screaming out, somebody understand me as a dog and stop punishing me, stop abusing me in the name of training.
Good, perfect.
So that really didn't help. I don't know if she might be following. She's not helping. Educate yourself. What I'm saying is that this guy, I don't know how old he is, but he's older than I am. And if I can learn to change my ways and what I think is right and what I've been told my whole life before I'm even 30, then what's his excuse? You can change at any time. And really, what's his excuse? I mean, I see why it's a business, but hey. Good. So even walking away, if I were moving through there and he exploded, we would just keep walking. Sometimes I have to drag the dog away. We walk over here. Maybe we sit. I start reinforcing them. Of course, I try not to sit and cause the other dog to continue reacting, even if I'm just walking my own dog, because I don't want that dog to end up being corrected. So I try to help out the other dog as well. So I'd walk a little bit further up till we're out of this guy's sight. Then I would try to sit with this guy, maybe sit on a bench or just chill and just let him look in this area, start rewarding for calmness so we can counter condition this whole reaction.
You want to meet that dog. I mean, that's already a disaster. So I think one of the things going on,
tight leash, circling, frustration, pain,
so
discomfort.
Let's unhook the prong and keep him on the fur saver for a sec.
Fur saver.
And the reason I'm saying that now is only because
I don't know what he means by fur saver. Fur saver might be the choke chain. Of course, they come with all these special names. Or it might be, if it is a martingale, and that's awesome. Call it a martingale. Don't call it a fur saver. People will say fur saver. The reason why I may associate the fur saver with the choke chain is that people will say, oh yeah, when you have a chain on a certain regular links on a choke chain on a dog's neck, it'll pull out hair or it'll discolor it. So he may have this specific chain link type choke chain that saves the fur from coming out, so it doesn't wear it out. But if that's their excuse for using it, then just don't use it.
He's pulling against that leash, and we don't have the ability, like in the park, to give him that long line and the correction. So we're
you don't. So he says we don't have the ability to have more leverage with the long line on a prong collar.
Take it off and put him on the fur saver. There we go. Good.
Okay, choke chain.
So
lovely. Okay, lovely. So prongs in the neck didn't work. So let's choke the dog. Wonderful. It's just like anybody who says you need a bigger bit. That's what this guy's saying. Go from a snaffle to a leverage bit. Go to a mechanical hackamore. Crushes the jaw, or a nose band so the horse can't move their tongue above the bit. Causes more pain. Use a tie down. Use all these other things, because one tool didn't work, so we'll use multiple, or we'll use harsher tools.
Just kind of walk back and forth here a couple times. The dog's going to be there.
Choking.
Just try to get his attention. Like before we start the walk,
loud hands.
Something to do, like sit down or whatever you want to do.
God, his loud hands, just the way he's moving. So now he's. Don't worry about the sit. And of course, he has these little black ones that they either look nice or they hide in the dog's fur. So controlling that his priorities are backwards. He sees it as, I need my dog to sit versus I need to get my dog off this, put him on this collar. He cares enough about him to have his number on there in case he gets lost. I have no doubt this guy loves his dog. It doesn't excuse any of this.
good, perfect.
So see, he worries about the sit, thinking, and the thing why I don't like people to just say sit all the time is because when you get a sit from your dog, it gives you false security, a false sense of security in thinking that now you have control of your dog. He has removed his sunglasses, terrific, because the dog can actually see eyes. He has not, which would be helpful, especially with his owner, so he could read his owner. When people get a sit or a down from a dog, it gives them that false sense of security that now my dog is under control, when really it's quite the opposite. You're putting your dog in more of a vulnerable position, making them more anxious. How would you like to lay down and let a Clydesdale or even a regular horse go walking 2 inches from you, walking over top of you, or have a tiger walk past you, or a snake, a tarantula, a butterfly, I don't know, whatever your worst fear is, just lay down or just sit down and you can't move. And every time you move, you get something like this on your neck, because this is just as foreign to dogs as it is to humans. There's no difference. We just market it for animals that don't fight back. And then everybody thinks, oh, it's cute. We put it in cute colors. We put it in disguise. There's a market out there for things to cover these so they look like a regular collar. If you have to hide it, then you need to question, should I be using it?
Okay, so just walk down 5 paces and then come right back. Don't even.
Not a single reward for this guy. The only reward he gets is maybe a good boy, which he doesn't care about. And the only real reward is not being corrected. That's it. Wonderful life.
Engage with that dog.
At least when he's working with him. I mean, this guy already came with these 2 tools on. He's a follower of him, so I'm assuming that's how he trains with him all the time anyway, but I don't know.
Just put him over here, and he's got to pay attention to you. Tell him what to do, and as soon as he breaks that, tell him no.
Okay, so they know this dog is still over there. They know this dog is reactive. I will say he knows the dog is reactive. I mean, if he didn't realize that by then and he still hasn't learned, then okay. So why are you setting him up for failure a second time? You saw this dog. I would avoid them to help this dog and this owner and this dog.
It's always more important to tell the dog what you want them to do.
And don't put him in a corner. You want him to be able to go back.
I agree with what he's saying. Yeah, you want to tell them what to do before, give them a clue of what you want from them. But also, it doesn't help when you're in this kind of situation. And I like that he said, don't put him in a corner. Very good. Don't put him up against a wall or corner him where he's going to feel the need to protect himself from fight or flight. There's 5 F's, at least as far as dogs go: fight, flight, fiddle, faint, and freeze. Fight and flight, we put them in snow. They're scared. They want to run. Fiddle means they may kind of dance around. They kind of smell things. They're trying to give appeasing signals or calming signals. Faint, they just play dead, hoping that you'll leave them alone. And freeze is they literally just freeze. They don't move. They're just so flooded and overstimulated that they just freeze.
Just a tiny bit. There you go. Perfect. Like that.
So the dog is still cornered. Still worries about the sit. He says the name after the dog is sniffing, which could have been a good sniff or could have been a calming signal to his own owner. When he says sit, or when he says Max, then he looks up. That was pretty good eye contact, but he could have been, looking up because he says, uh-oh, a correction's going to follow.
And keeping the dog dialed in will help.
Go ahead.
Keeping the dog dialed in, meaning be over-controlling, be overbearing. Tell them every step to move. Don't put your head here, don't put your foot here, you stay here, you do that. Being a drill sergeant, being overcomplicating the situation. You don't need to worry about that. If you didn't put your dog in this situation, you wouldn't need to be telling him every step to make.
All right, so here comes this.
So right here, you could be rewarding. He doesn't know that this dog is over here. Whatever he's looking at over here, he's not barking. He's sitting. Give him a reward.
So all we got to worry about is him.
The only motivation this dog has is to avoid correction. And even then, in this state, it's almost impossible for him to. And people will say, if this dog is going to keep acting out, then he deserves the correction he gets. I'm not pulling on him. He's correcting himself. It's a self-correction with the leash. No, that's just bull.
Good, loose leash, good.
Ouch. Ouch.
Walk him away.
So see, if he didn't, now I will give him a pass on this, because a lot of people don't think to walk away. They get scared just as much as their dog, and they get stuck in their head of I gotta control this. So that's the one good thing that he told him. But what bothers me is that he's just sitting here the whole time waiting for things to already blow up, and then he tells him what to do. You're the trainer. He's probably paying you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars And he's on here, for people like me to rip into both of you, and it's nothing personal, even with Rob. It's just critique, but he's the trainer, and he's not doing anything. He's not telling him what to do until it's too late. So this person, see, God, look, just sitting there, la-di-da-di-da, blah, blah, blah. Don't help this guy who's struggling with his own dog. Yeah, tell her, keep walking. She says, I'm trying, I'm struggling with my own dog. So he's not going to help anything. He's just going to sit there, twiddle his thumbs, and get paid for it.
Yeah, huh?
Come on.
Now, unlike Joey, this lady is a
Ouch.
little bit out of her zone with this dog and can't handle.
So loosen the leash.
And then he just kind of appears back, oh, don't worry about helping that lady. Don't worry about helping this guy. If you helped that lady, it would have helped him too. Saying she's out of her league. Just because this guy is stronger and he has leverage, metal tools, just because he can manhandle his dog, doesn't mean anything. It's just, that's just it. He's just able to manhandle his dog more. At least that lady, even though she was way in over her head because her dog is reactive, I still have more faith in her in, actually finding a good trainer for her dog than this guy.
She can't handle the corrections that this dog needs. So you have two real.
He acts like she can't handle the corrections that her dog needs, or this dog needs. She does not need to be correcting her dog. And you know what? She may not be able to handle it. I can't handle it. I can do it, but I can't handle it. Does that mean I'm a bad owner? Does that mean I'm a bad trainer? Because he can handle it alone tells me that she's better because she won't do it. Or because she can't. She has a better relationship with her dog than he does. That's just my opinion.
Dominant dogs.
With dominant dogs. They're not dominant. Stop saying this. This guy likes to act all cool, all in control, all whatever, while his client here is just wrestling with his dog, confused, doesn't know what to do, stuck in his own head. You're not really helping or doing anything. You're just telling him a couple little, tips here and there, oh, correct, oh, loose lead, this and that. I don't know what they do in between, but from what I've seen here, he sucks as being a teacher. He sucks at communicating. And again, with this dominance, no, it's a momentary situation. If those two dogs were going after a bone, I have no doubt that a fight would, break into it. Or even if they went to go sniff each other, and that cream-colored dog were to come over and sniff him, and he ended up laying down and showing submissive posture, yeah, in that moment, that dog would be dominant. But he could also go back and pin the other dog down, and he would be dominant in that moment.
Good, tap, tap, tap.
Tap. Ay. Jesus, dude. He said tap, not yank. So again, he's saying sit, sit, sit. He doesn't know what he means by tap. He says tap, he means one thing. He doesn't know what his definition of a tap is, so he just jerks him. And yet the dog didn't sit, the dog did nothing. He is so numb, so loud, because he has such loud hands. He has no feel, no timing. He's just teaching this dog to ignore it. This is why people, like this situation, honestly, this owner, and the way he's handled it, and the trainers that teach these people with these dogs, this is why they have a bad reputation. They don't need any of this. This is counterproductive. I'm speaking from experience. So now he's going to get another correction. Ouch!
Good, perfect.
Jesus, poor thing. Oh, good, perfect. God, that just bothers me so much. Good, perfect. What does he do? What is he even here for? I mean, this guy really doesn't need him.
Now let's move him. Let's give him some movement. Like just back and forth. She's at the bank, so she's not going to bother you.
Ouch.
Good.
Yank, yank.
Good, Joe. Don't let him piss. Don't let him piss.
Don't let him urinate. Okay.
I'll tell you why in a sec. Come
Probably
on.
because the other dog already peed on this tree and he doesn't want him to be marking because he thinks it's going to be dominance. A lot of times just because a dog will pee over another dog's pee, it's not because they're necessarily trying to claim anything. It depends. It's all contextual. They use it as like female. Yeah, he'll pee and say, hey, I'm a male dog. I'm not sick. I'm this age. I'm intact or not. And a female dog or another dog will come over and say, hey, this kind of dog was here. They were this kind of healthy, or they were sick, or they're pregnant, or they're in heat, or whatever. And I'm going to pee on top to let them know, hey, I'm in the area too. It's not always just, there's no always or never or absolutes in the world, in anything. He keeps saying heel, the dog doesn't know heel,
right?
The dog doesn't care. He's way ahead. The dog doesn't know how to walk on loose leash, and yet he requires a heel.
This is something I've never addressed in
Stressed.
a video. If a dog is dominant,
He's
and you feel-
not dominant. Okay, just. Oh my god. Seriously, I'm about to punch my computer screen. He's not dominant. Stop spreading these lies, this misinformation, I think he personally believes it. But he's saying that, so then he's going to agree with him and say, oh yeah, it's confirmation bias. So if I say it's not dominance, then all these other people who listen to him, because he gets results, because he looks cool, because he sounds cool, they're going to say, no, I'm wrong, because, I don't know, they don't really have a good reason.
and then that's kind of broken in him, the first thing he's going to do is go over and mark something, especially a male, because then he's going to go, this is my turf. That's the one thing I never let him do, and I've never discussed that in the video before why, but it's critical. As soon as he's upset, okay, I'm going to listen. Okay, now I'm going to go piss on something.
That's not how they think. You know, a lot of times dogs will urinate because they're relieving stress. So even his most natural need, you will not allow because you are so controlling. After being frustrated, yes, there's times when dogs can see another dog and they go and pee and they mark and they make a point of it, and I would say if they start kicking their feet, they're spreading their oils. That's more of a sign of dominance in that moment. They're trying to be flashy. They're trying to show that they're assertive, they're powerful, they're a strong dog. We didn't see that. I mean, he didn't pee, but either way, dogs a lot of times will urinate, especially male dogs, to relieve stress. After they've been flustered, you know, they're frustrated. He listened to you, so why can't he go pee? Who cares?
Right? That's the worst thing he can do. So right now,
No, it's really not.
I'm going to piss on that tree if anybody's going to piss on that
Now,
tree.
stop this. That's the whole thing about dominance, is he thinks he's dominant. He thinks he's dominant. The dog does not. The dog doesn't care. Humans think of dominance as a character trait, and he thinks he's dominant. And you know what? You're not. But the dog does not. Dog doesn't care. Doesn't see you as dominant. Doesn't see you as leader, pack leader, alpha, or any of that nonsense. This dog honestly could care less, probably, about both of you.
Yeah, I'm glad he tried to do it totally normal, even though you just neutered him. He's going to have that personality for a while. He's a dominant dog.
He's not a dominant dog. So he has been neutered. Okay, yeah, he may have more of that angsty male behavior, but really it's not. There's a lot of dogs that are intact, males that have not been neutered, females that have not been spayed, specifically speaking on the males, that are not overly dominant, as he says. They don't act very assertive or aggressive. A lot of that's learned behavior. And some dogs, yeah, they can. I mean, again, it's their personality. It's nature and nurture.
Good. So back and forth. So now we're going to do the same stuff we do at the park, but we're doing it in the real world.
Now the tension in Max's leash is not helping him at all.
So then why don't you tell him that? Why don't you teach him to walk on a loose leash, period, in the beginning, before you even come here?
Good.
In fact, you'll see later things will change.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so he's becoming more aware of it. Terrific. A+ for the owner who's learning. That's awesome. That's what we want. But he has to be aware of it. He needs to.
Yeah, good, Joe. And then turn around.
But see, the owner gets more positive reinforcement than the dog does. Why is that? Because humans, with our egos, are too sensitive. We have to be sugar-coated with everything. I mean, I would never say all this, be this harsh to a person in their face, because it's not necessary, it's not productive. I'm saying this because I'm using this as an example, and I'm pretty sure that this guy would never care who I am or what I'm saying, and it's not for him. It's for the people who see this and believe in whatever Rob is saying. I would be teaching them, we would be avoiding all of this. And I always tell my clients that most of the time when I'm giving verbal praise, it's to the owner more than the dog. I mean, the dog, of course, I give plenty of praise to, but usually it's in a state of, I talk to the owner as much as I do the dog. The dog is like treats and like, hey, good job, good girl, good boy, whatever. And I say just as much to the owner. Like, good job, right on, perfect timing, spot on. Because I want them to feel just as good about what they're learning as the dog. Because really, we're teaching the owner, not the dog. Because they're the ones who's going to keep up with it.
When the leash is tight, the dog has nowhere to go. You want to get that as loose as possible.
There you go. Much better. Yeah.
And also, when the leash is tight, it makes the dog more anxious, more likely to be reactive, more frustrated.
And she's going to be coming back out at some point, so we're going to see her one more time. But if a dog is that aggressive to my dog, there's nothing. I mean, I can't expect him not to do something, right?
Okay, so walk away. And you saw it once before, so why didn't you avoid it? He saw her coming way before this guy did, so he purposely chose for them to sit there and corner while this lady walks with her dog. Very stupid on his point. On his part.
You know, that's totally normal. Good, but nice loose leash.
That's not necessarily normal. Like, I agree, yes, I wouldn't blame my dog for reacting to that, but I'm also not going to purposely set them up for that. You could have prevented that very easily.
Is that tension in the leash. Like if you have him back against that wall and that leash is tight, he's got nowhere to go but go forward and kill, right?
No, it's not to go forward and kill. He's frustrated. He has the opposition reflex. I imagine that if you were to undo that leash at that time, he would run maybe 10, maybe 20 feet and stop. I imagine that he wouldn't go further than that, because from what I've seen with the barrier frustration earlier in the other video I've done, he actually held himself back a lot. He showed a lot of self-control on the long line. And he showed just a bit of frustration, to me. But apparently, I mean, who am I? I don't know anything. I don't know how to train dogs. I'm just some random person off the street.
So I always give him room behind him, room in front of him. That means if he
Good.
decides to go back, he's like, oh, okay, I can get away from this.
Good.
Essentially, that's all I want to teach him. I want to teach him that, hey, this is an option, right? Just like if...
And that's true, and that's one thing that I will agree with, but that's why I walk away with the dog. I would never be in front of a building. I wouldn't be here, where we have all this going on. We have someone walking, we have traffic, we have other smells and sounds and sights. It's a busy area. I wouldn't be starting here with my dog. Yes, dogs most of the time do not know to back away from a situation, because if they do with another animal, the other animal is going to take that and keep pushing. They don't know that they can actually back away from something that scares them. I've worked with several dogs who would run up to you and start growling in your face. They would run up to you for pets, you pet them, and they start growling and showing teeth because they don't know how to get out of that situation. They think they're giving you the right answer by showing you their belly, but as soon as you go to pet them, they start growling. So they don't actually want you to pet them. They're just trying to, they get up, they get nervous, they don't know what to do, and they go belly up. So I'll ignore it, or I'll toss the treat away. Or I will walk away. And I teach the dog, hey, it's good to move away from something that scares you.
If somebody's going to fight you and me, first thing you and I are going to do is going to go, no, I don't want to fight.
That depends.
If I get against that wall, I'll kill you.
So I don't know how much more, I mean, there's a lot more of this, and I've already, okay, so now he's working with him. So we'll go forward a little bit. Okay, so I don't know how long this video has already gone on. We're going to go, looks like Rob is going to work with him for a little bit. We're just going to see how that goes, and then we'll end the video.
Try to get this. Let me see if it's like Joe. I'm going to just, hey.
So he yanks on the dog because the owner didn't know to just stop the dog. So the dog gets in trouble. And instead of just telling the owner, hey, or you could, tell the owner, hey, stop the dog right there, or whatever. But he sees it as the dog continues walking. The dog doesn't know what you want. And the funny thing is that they all have these little treat pouches on, but they never ever use them. It's just for show.
I want to keep this as high as possible on his neck so that all the correction is going to come up here, right? So here, hey.
Okay, so he places it properly. Thank you for taking off the prong collar. Choke chain is more dangerous, in fact.
Sit. Good. No.
Ouch.
Sit. Good, right?
Lip lick. He's looking to Dad like, Dad, this crazy guy is now jerking on me, and it slipped down again. So are we gonna fix it?
So nice loose leash. And I don't know if that lady's. I'm going to just go around the corner with him.
He notices that it's low again.
No.
Ouch. He notices it's low again. Lip lick. He ignores it. So he said it's best if it's up here, but it slid back down. He goes to pet the dog. The dog gets more stimulated, as he stated in the other video that he knows. And when the dog gets up and moves, he corrects again. So he set this dog up for failure. He pet the dog got up. It was his fault, the dog got up. Why does the dog need the correction? It doesn't. Over-controlling.
So he's seeing these kind of like affection symbols as like, I'm out of the mode, right? So that's why, like you're doing now, is no,
sit. Don't correct him. This dog, then stop touching him. Right now he doesn't need this. He's overstimulated. Or he never gets any attention, so he's extra excited when you touch him. Don't worry about this sit right now. Over-controlling. False sense of security.
But he has to know this is kind of a calming thing, not a wind me up thing. Good, that's good. So if he goes to that, it's even better.
He's just frustrated.
Max,
He's giving up.
Let's go.
He's such a cutie
Give him enough
pie.
leash so he's not on a tight leash, right?
Thank you.
Because what you're
That's one
tending,
thing I agree with. Give him some leash and he won't pull as much. I know it sounds crazy, but try it in a safe environment, please.
thing to do is you're trying to get him
Ouch.
to walk this
Ouch.
perfect heel.
And you don't need to show examples using the dog. Okay, if you're going to do that, you can do it without actually pulling on the dog. You're just confusing him.
Yeah, and that's going to come with maturity, but right now...
It comes
if
with
you-
training. The dog doesn't know heel, and he doesn't need to heel every step of the way. Let him have his leash.
If you nag him into it, it's going to
Thank
be,
you.
he's going to constantly be like, tight leash.
Yeah,
So
because he doesn't know what it means. He thinks heel now means pull against the leash.
instead, when I'm walking him here, I'm going to say, hey, Max, let's go. I'm going to walk, and I'm
Okay.
going to give him a little bit. Then that's what
Ouch.
I'm going to...
Dude. So here, this is what irritates me so much. Is he's gonna act nice. You know, he's like, oh yeah, come on, Max, which I'm all with. And then he lets him go to the end of his leash, clothesline, and pops him hard. So this little cutie moment doesn't outdo the yank on the leash.
Hey, Max, let's go.
Acts nice.
I'm going to walk, and I'm going to give
Gets
him a little
ahead,
bit.
he stops,
Then that's
yank,
where I'm going to
ouch.
correct him there, right? So give him...
Why would he pay attention to you? All you've ever done is been aggressive with him on the leash. Why would he pay attention to you? You give him nothing other than avoidance of pain.
Hey,
Ouch.
let him see this. Hey, Max. And keep him kind of engaged without, pestering him. But make this a little bit more loose, because this whole
Agreed.
idea of trying to keep him right next to you is going to be something that's going to
Ouch.
develop more in
I
his
don't know
maturity.
why
than-
he was telling him, tell him what you want. So now he's ignoring him and just correcting him, popping him. They always say one thing and do another. None of this is necessary.
through your teaching. See, like here, see what he does when
Good
it's
boy.
loose? When it's tight, he's fighting you. When it's loose,
And he's
he'll give
also
in.
sitting really close because he's trying to avoid that correction. He's very smart, smarter than most people. Is that if he's over here, he learns, oh, I get a correction and it hurts. So I'm going to come over here and I avoid correction.
Good. Right, and you got to be this dog. If you're a good boy, see, okay, there he sees this dog. So let's see what I can do. Hey,
No, ouch! You didn't need that. You could have gently just walked him away. He wasn't reacting. You could walk him away to a distance. Make sure that these people aren't going to be following you. If they walk away, reward, 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 and on you go. Perfect. But no, he has to.
Max, good.
Oh, did you see that moment where he said his name and he jumped? He almost, like, he hesitated. He's like, oh, wait, I better go to this guy because he was expecting a correction.
So let's see what I can do. Hey,
Ouch. Max.
Max.
And then he
good.
jumps real quick.
So I'm just going to keep
But then
moving.
he still
Hey,
looks, ouch. So those corrections were not enough to keep him from looking at the other dog. So what are you doing? You're just correcting him. You're just abusing this animal for no reason. If you were to do it once and then he never did it again, I mean, that would be one thing. It's still not necessary. It's still abusive, but it's not. It's over and over and over and over again. You have to rely on these tools. I'd rather rely on a treat, a treat pouch or a ball or a tug toy or whatever. I don't want to have to rely on metal pain devices. And this dog is so patient. He's just so sweet. And he's young, and they could very easily turn him into an actually aggressive, dangerous animal. So that's enough of that. I am just so tired of seeing this. Hope you learned something from that. I know I'm getting pretty harsh and pretty nasty and pretty honest, but hey, it's how I feel. And I give back what they give the dog. You know, whatever. He doesn't care. He doesn't say sorry. He doesn't say, whatever. He says, you do what I say. He says that to the dog. So I'm giving this dog a voice. And you can choose to listen or not. That's fine. If you made it all the way through the video, then you can type in pickle in the comment or leave a little pickle emoji. Thanks for watching. Let me know if there's anything specific you would like to see in the next video. And until then, stay positive.